私を倒せ。私に戦士としてふさわしい最後は。
The quest starts with a meeting to decide where the Astral Express should go next. This meeting is really important since the Express is facing a fuel crisis, so they need to think carefully about their destination to keep the fuel supply stable. In the last Trailblaze quest, Black Swan suggested heading to Amphoreus, a world that even Akifili has never been to. Among all the possible stops such as ocean planet Lusaka, the hometown of Mikhail Charlekwork, and Agatworth Malstonin, where Idrila ascended as the Aeon of Beauty, the entire Express crew ultimately chose to head to the eternal land of Amphoreus. The reasoning was that all the options were equally dangerous, and the Express member found it more exciting and challenging to explore an uncharted planet that no one knew about. This is the spirit of Trailblaze. Everyone was eager to venture into the unknown. Moreover, if they succeeded in pioneering exploration in Amphoreus, the fuel crisis of the Express would be resolved. Thus, the decision was made that the next destination would be Amphoreus. We then talked to Black Swan, who was pretty happy that the Express had finally decided to head to Amphoreus. She shared that going there was part of her duty as a memo keeper to gather and protect forgotten memories from different worlds. To her, Amphoreus was like a hidden treasure just out of reach, and once everything was ready, we made the jump to Amphoreus. Amphoreus is concealed by chaotic space matter, making it invisible to the outside world. There are 3 interconnected paths in Amphoreus: erudition, remembrance, and one unknown path. This unknown path is strong enough to rival the other 2. For those unfamiliar, a path is a collection of imaginary energy that manifests as a philosophical concept, believed and followed by an individual or a group. While we were talking, we suddenly realized that March, who is usually cheerful and full of energy, wasn't around. We went to check on her, and she told us she has felt completely drained after the jump. Black Swan and Sunday took a look at her and figured that she might be dealing with some kind of memory disturbance, possibly caused by something in outer space, an Aeon, or even Amphoreus itself. Oddly enough, the effect only seemed to affect March. Because of that, she was advised to stay away from Amphoreus so her condition wouldn't get worse. March gave her camera to us and Danheng so she could still get photos from Amphoreus even if she couldn't be there herself. So, Danheng and the Trailblazer were chosen to lead the first exploration of Amphoreus. Since we didn't know much about Amphoreus geography, the Express used one of its advanced features, a detachable carriage. This carriage came with its own landing system and independent thrusters, making it both safe base for us while we were there and a communication relay. Once everything was ready, we took off towards Amphoreus in this special carriage.
車両切り離し用意3、2、1
誰 Unfortunately, right after we arrived at Amphoreus, our carriage was destroyed by a giant spear. Pom Pom is probably heartbroken, but thankfully, we made it out alive. We tried to contact the express, but the message didn't go through. Right now, things are pretty tense and the only thing we can do is look for a safe place. And that's when we saw a flying pink furry creature. As it moved, the environment around us kept shifting, getting destroyed, then restored, and destroyed again in a strange loop. Eventually, we end up in a dead-end area where a massive statue stood tall and majestic in Amphoreus. Even in the middle of the chaos, we managed to snap a photo for March. But just as we were taking the picture, what looked like a statue suddenly came to life. It was actually a creature, and it started attacking us. While we were fighting it off, a man suddenly appeared out of nowhere. He had taken down other creature before, and now he came at us with incredible speed, even managing to break Tanhang's spear.
面白いものを持っているね。
The man then told us he didn't mean any harm. He just wanted to keep everyone safe. The creature we fought earlier were actually soldiers of one of the titans, specifically the Strife Titan Nicodor. Amphoreus has 12 titans, each with their own unique powers. Every titan also has followers who believe in and worship them. Originally, these titans were the founders of Amphoreus, but after a certain event, they lost their minds and became enemies of humanity. Carrying weapon near Nicodor's soldier was basically asking for a fight. As it turned out, there were also civilians nearby who could have gotten caught in the middle. The man had attacked us out of caution. He didn't know if we were a threat or not. Before we could even explain why we came to Amphoreus, a young girl suddenly showed up and scolded him for being rude to us. She apologized on his behalf and introduced herself using we as her pronoun. Her name was Treeby. She then nudged the man to introduce himself properly. His name was Finan and he had white hair. Treeby and Finan were part of Cyrus Heirs, a group of prophesied heroes chosen to take the core flame, a divine power once belonging to the gods. Their mission is to rebuild Amphoreus, which has been thrown into chaos by the madness of titans.
私たちはヤヌサポリスのトリビー。こっちはファイちゃん。ほら、ファイちゃん。謝って。
We introduced ourselves as Trailblazer from outer space. That really surprised Finan and Treeby. Outer space seems like something extraordinary to them, though they mentioned that not everyone feels the same. Some people aren't exactly fans of it. Finan and Treeby explained that they were in the middle of evacuating civilians from the area. They said that if we truly meant no harm, we were welcome to join them and travel together for safety while exploring Amphoreus. But still, we knew that we had to stay cautious. We couldn't fully trust them yet, and we still didn't understand what was really going on in Amphoreus. We then helped guide the people toward the main city, known as the Holy City of Okema, the domain of world-bearing titan, Capel. But along the way, we ran into a Janus priest, an elder who refused to leave his temple. Janus is one of the titans known as the Passage Titan, and the area we were in was called Janusopolis, home to those who followed and worshipped Janus. Right now, Janusopolis is under attack by Nicodor's forces, and it's not just this place. Nicodor's troops are launching assaults all across Amphoreus. During the discussion, we noticed that Tanhang and I were treated a bit differently. It seemed Finan was deliberately keeping our identity as visitors from outer space a secret from locals. He said that once we helped them rescue the civilians, we'd be given a chance to ask any question we had, and Treeby would explain everything we need to know. And yeah, we decided to go along with Finan's plan. After that, we successfully helped evacuate the people. But once again, the Janus priest was being stubborn. He still refused to go to a city ruled by a different Titan god. That was Tribi stepped in and revealed his full name, Tribias. The moment the priest heard it, he changed his attitude completely. As it turned out, Tribi, now Tribias, was one of the Cyrus heirs who had inherited Janus' core flame. In other words, Tribi had taken Janus' place and was now someone the followers of Janus looked up to and respected. With that revelation, the priest finally agreed to lead his people to safety in Okema. Once things calmed down, we took the chance to ask Tribi and Finance some questions, especially about the end time we kept hearing about. They explained that Amphoreus was going through a period of chaos, the beginning of the end, just as an old prophecy had foretold. At least we had some answer now. Then, our ride to Okema arrived. According to them, Okema was the only place in Amphoreus still safe from Nicodor's attack. But once we got there, it turned out that Okema wasn't as safe as they said.
おい、起きろ。町が襲われている。
It turned out that Okema had also come under attack by Nicodor's force. Capel and Nicodor had always been enemies, but this time, the attacks felt different. Nicodor's troops were striking indiscriminately with no clear pattern or mercy. Once again, we joined the Cyrus heirs to help evacuate the people of Okema. But during the rescue, something unexpected happened. 3 tribes appeared at once, completely catching us and Danheng off guard. That's when we finally understood why Tribi used pronoun we. There were actually 3 of them, each with their own personality. There was Trian, who was cheerful and optimistic, Trinan, the quiet one who didn't talk much, and Tribi, the main face we had been interacting with all along.
僕たちトリアン。私たちはトリなんです。私たちはトリビー。違う。自己紹介してる場合じゃないでしょ。
Tribi has the ability to open Sentry Gate, which can be used to go anywhere, and now it will be used to evacuate civilians. We then met another Cyrus heir who was very enthusiastic about fighting and killing. His name was Mighty Moss.
後方なら安全だ。大層な仕事ぶりだな。皮肉はやめろ。敵は僕じゃない。油断が命取りになるぞ。救世主。
Mighty was very skeptical of us and considered us as invaders. Mighty also seemed to be a temperamental person and indeed disliked everyone. He told us that Nicodor was already inside Okema, so we rushed off to try and stop him. Along the way, we met a soft-spoken woman named Starrail, another member of the Cyrus heirs. She had powers related to death, strong enough to paralyze Nicodor's troop, but dangerous to allies too. We were warned not to get too close, or we could end up dead ourselves. Eventually, we reached Marmoreal Palace, the heart of Okema and the place where Nicodor was. With help from Aglia, the leader of Cyrus heirs, we managed to defeat him.
Todomeo. これはニカドリーの本体ではなく、数多くある身体の一つ。火種はここにはない。
But it turned out that Nicodor we thought wasn't his true form, it was only a shadow. Even so, his troops retreated, and as they fled, Trian secretly followed them. Aglia welcomed us and thanked us for all the help we'd given so far. She promised to answer all our questions. As it turned out, the place we were in, the Marmora Palace, were actually a public bath in Okema. Before explaining what was really happening in Amphoreus, Aglia said we needed to understand its history first. In short, Amphoreus was originally founded by 12 titans, each with their own unique powers. They shaped the world and led it forward, but everything was changed after a tragic event known as the Black Tide. The titans lost their minds, and ever since, they've become enemies of humans. After knowing a little about history of Amphoreus, Aglia invited us to the Cyrus Hair special path. But because it was a special place, only one person was allowed to go, and of course, we, the MC, went and Danheng waited. Inside, a rather intimate moment unfolded. We stepped into the pool and sat beside Aglia. She gently told us to close our eyes, and in a quiet whisper, she introduced herself more personally and told us that from now on, we were connected to her power. Aglia's power allows people to truly understand one another. She explained that as long as we remain honest, this connection will guide us and help keep us safe throughout our journey in Amphoreus. Aglia explained again that the Cyrus Heirs are essentially a group of people who've claimed the Titan's power for themselves. Their goal is to rebuild Amphoreus after all the chaos. She said that she believed in both us and Danheng, and even though we were outsiders, she saw us as the allies the Cyrus Heir had been waiting for in their fight against the Titans. With that, Aglia opened up to us honestly, and in return, she asked for our trust. She wanted us to promise not to tell anyone in Amphoreus about outer space. We agreed, and just like that, a pact was made between us and the leader of the Cyrus Heirs. Afterwards, we returned to Danheng and explained the deal. Unsurprisingly, he found out that the request a bit strange, but we didn't really have a choice, and we definitely didn't want to get on Aglia's bad side. Since things had calmed down for a bit, we decided to take a walk around Okema, snapping photos like March had asked us to do. At this point, the pace of the story slowed down a bit. We spent some time helping the locals recover from the recent attack by Nicodor's troop. According to Tribi, we, the MC, turned out to be pretty special. We had the rare ability to resonate with the power of Oronex, the Time Titan, which allow us to restore broken things by reversing time. To the people of Amphoreus, we weren't seen as outsiders from space, but rather as heroes from a faraway land. Surprisingly, Amphoreus wasn't as primitive as we assumed. Even though the planet is isolated, they had their own version of cell phones called message tablet. We even exchanged contact with Tribi. Later, as we wandered around, we asked a man to take a picture of us. His name was Damianis, and as it turned out, he was also into photography. We were surprised to learn that camera was familiar tech in Amphoreus. Danheng and I started to realize our assumption about this world being primitive were way off. When Damianis saw March's camera, he paused for a moment, then snapped a photo of us. After that, he suddenly asked if we were from outer space. Remembering our promise to Aglia, we dodged the question, and Danheng quickly came up with a made-up place. He said that we were from Thalassopolis. I don't know where it is, but after that, we ran into Phaeton and Blacksmith. To our surprise, the blacksmith was highly skilled. He was even able to repair Danheng's broken spear perfectly. We also crossed paths with Castorise again. The conversation was a little bit awkward, to say the least. She answered our question briefly and didn't try to keep the conversation going. But she did apologize. It wasn't that she didn't want to be friends, but she just wasn't very good at talking to people. We got a message from Tribi asking us to head to Marmora Place right away. Aglia had prepared a gift for us. But on the way there, we overheard people chatting about a group forum where something wild was being discussed, a pink goddess from outer space. Turns out, when Damionis took our photo earlier, he peeked into March's camera gallery and found picture of place that clearly weren't from Amphoreus. He ended up spreading the news, talking about outer space and calling March a pink deity. Naturally, the rumors spread like wildfire and things quickly became dangerous for us. It's because our slip-up and Damionis' boldness, word about outer space had gotten out. Thankfully, not everyone believed him right away, but we had to act fast. We chased after Damionis to stop him from stirring up more trouble. We found him standing on the ledge, threatening to jump just to prove that outer space was real, but it was just a reckless move. His jump would have only led to his death. We approached him carefully, torn between keeping our promise to Aglia or saving his life. In the end, we chose to tell the truth. We admitted that outer space was real and that we came from there. Damionis finally calmed down and the guards took him away. But the situation was far from resolved. We still had to face Aglia and take responsibility for what had happened. We finally met with Aglia, and at first, things seemed normal. She told us she had a gift for us, a special room where we could stay during our time in Amphoreus. It sounded like a warm gesture until she asked us to place our face into a ritual container as part of receiving this gift. And that's when things took a sharp turn. She brought us to a place called the Vortex of Genesis, a sacred site tied to the divine essence of the 12 titans and known as the place where prophecies unfold. But instead of a peaceful ritual, it became clear that we were brought there for another reason entirely. This wasn't a ceremony, it was an interrogation. We had broken our promise, and now we were going to face the consequences.
ここは世界の中心です。では、誠実に答えてもらいましょう。
At the Vortex of Genesis, the atmosphere turned heavy. Starrail was already there, silent, cold, and ready to act as our executioner if things went wrong. Aglia gave us one last chance. Answer her question honestly, or face the consequences. If we lied again, Starrail wouldn't hesitate to strike us down right then and there. Before the interrogation started, we asked the question that had been on our minds. Why was talk about outer space was so strictly forbidden in Amphoreus? Aglia finally gave us the truth. Long ago, a group of people from Amphoreus tried to build a ship to explore the stars. But the moment they launched, Aquila, the Sky Titan, struck them down. The ship was destroyed mid-air, and an entire city was wiped out as punishment. Every person in that city perished. Since then, the very idea of space became taboo. In these chaotic times, Aglia and the Cyrus heirs couldn't afford to spark another disaster by provoking Aquila's wrath. Even though the heirs were said to be the chosen heroes, the Titan still held immense power, and Aquila made it clear that leaving Amphoreus was forbidden, no matter the reason. That's why the truth had been hidden, not to protect secrets, but to protect lives. Aglia wasn't done yet. After everything that happened, she wanted to be absolutely sure that could we truly be trusted? Would we follow her order from now on? She gave us 4 direct questions, all leading to one thing. What was our true purpose in coming to Amphoreus? And would we use the unknown power inside us or the Stellaron to help Cyrus heirs in their fight against the Titans? We answered honestly. We told her that we came here as part of our journey as Trailblazer, not conquerors, not meddlers. And as for the power inside us, it's unstable, dangerous. We couldn't promise to wield it freely, not even for the right cause. Aglia listened, then made us promise once more. No more recklessness, no more slip-ups. But despite the promise, tension filled the air. Dan Heng wasn't okay with how things had unfolded. He couldn't accept how far the Cyrus heirs had pushed us and how little trust we were given. If we weren't trusted, then in his view, we couldn't help them any further. So, Dan Heng made a decision. He chose to leave. Just when things felt like they might fall apart, Finance stepped in. He stood up for us, insisting that we were genuine, that we had no bad intention and deserved a chance. Surprisingly, Castorise backed him up too. Despite her cold demeanor, she also believed in us. Together, they vouched for us, promising we wouldn't do anything reckless again. And just like that, the fragile trust between us and the Cyrus heirs were patched, at least for now. After the tension settled, we were finally shown the deeper truth about Cyrus heirs, revealed with the sacred space of the vortex of Genesis. It turned out that 6 individuals had already succeeded in seizing the core flame of the Titans, essentially turning them into demigods. Among them were Tribi and Aglaea. Aglaea, in particular, had taken the core flame of Mnestia, the Titan of romance. That explained the strange connection we felt with her earlier. Her power wasn't a spiritual, it was a Titan-level divine. In other words, the prophecy wasn't just a dream anymore. It was already halfway fulfilled. The heirs were real, and their power had already begun reshaping Amphoreus. But reaching that point hadn't been easy. There had been long stretches of time where they made no progress at all. When hope nearly vanished and the group stood still, it was only thanks to Aglaea and Tribi's determination that the Cyrus heir found their momentum again, reigniting the path toward rebuilding their broken world. Right now, Finan is focused on fulfilling his part of the prophecy. He's aiming to claim the core flame of Nikador, the Strife Titan. He's determined to become one of the prophesied heroes, and with that same fire in his eyes, he asks us to keep helping the Cyrus heirs in their battle against the Titans. After hearing him out and seeing just how much everyone's put on the line, we decided to stay. We'd lend our strength to Cyrus heirs and face whatever came next together. Even with everything going on, we still remember March. We took another photo for her, even though it feels a little strange snapping a picture in a sacred place like the vortex of Genesis. Didn't sit quite right, but still it was a promise we intended to keep. By the end of the day, we were completely drained. Physically, mentally, emotionally, because after all so many revelations, battle, and close call, all we wanted was to finally rest. We headed back to our room, hoping tomorrow wouldn't be quite as intense, but knowing deep down the journey was just getting started. Meanwhile, somewhere else in the palace, Aglaea was having a quiet conversation with Tribi. Surprisingly, Aglaea referred to Tribi as her teacher. Tribi asked about how things were progressing with the prophecy, and then bluntly questioned whether Aglaea had ever truly planned to kill us and Dan Heng. Aglaea reassured her it was never about execution. That whole tense moment was simply her way of testing our loyalty and commitment. In fact, the interrogation ended up going better than she expected. As a result, our bond with Finan and Castorise actually grew stronger. She then mentioned something interesting. Everything she did was part of a future Tribi had once seen. A future where both Aglaea and Tribi would eventually step down and pass the torch, entrusting Amphoreus to new hands and a new hope. The point of view shifts back to us, the MC. In a dream, we heard a voice of some strange creature. The words were all jumbled and the subtitles barely readable. When we woke up, we told Dan Heng about the dream and the strange feeling it gave us. We also talked about our current situation in Amphoreus. Right now, we're completely cut off. We can't contact the Express and leaving the planet seems impossible. Dan Heng mentioned that the sky above Amphoreus feels like a one-way road. Easy to enter but impossible to escape. While we were in the deep conversation, Finan suddenly sent us a message. Trian had just returned from investigating Nikador's territory, Castrum Fremnas. Without wasting any time, we made our way straight to the Marmoreal Palace. At the Marmoreal Palace, we gathered with Finan, the blunt and ever-skeptical Mighty, Aglia, and Castorise. Thanks to Trian's investigation, we made a breakthrough, something that hadn't happened in years. The thick fog surrounding Custom Cramnas had finally cleared, and we were able to pinpoint its exact location. This marked a huge step forward in fulfilling the prophecy, signaling that it was the time for a new Cyrus Hears to claim Nicador's core flame. After some discussion, it was decided that only Finan and Mighty would go to Custom Cramnas. Castorise would stay behind in Okema as a guard. The decision was made based on practicality. Finan and Mighty were the most capable fighters, and sending a small group was safer given the continued threat for the other titans. This mission meant a lot to Mighty. Custom Cramnas was his hometown, and Nicador was the titan he once worshipped. But after Nicador went mad, Mighty turned away from him. Now, taking his core flame felt like the right things to do. Interestingly, Mighty wasn't interested in taking the core flame for himself. He chose to give that opportunity to Finan instead. With the plan finalized, Trian used the power of the Century Gate to transport us to Custom Cramnas. We arrived, and luckily, the place wasn't as strong as it used to be. Otherwise, the three of us wouldn't be able to fight all Nicador's troops. When Mighty came back to Custom Cramnas, he felt nostalgic. Finan knew Mighty was sad and wanted to be alone. So, Finan made a small game to make things fun. Whoever beat the most Nicador troops would get to hit Nicador last. Mighty said yes and wanted to try. Then, we went different ways to Nicador's place. There, we learned some cool things. The big sword in the sky is the sword Nicador used to break the Sky Kingdom of the Sky Titan Aquila. He also used the sword to destroy other cities. On our way through Castrum Cramnas, we came across a stone tablet inscribed with the ancient language of the region. It looked important, so we brought it along, intending to show it to Mighty later. Of course, we also took some picture of the area just like March had asked us to do. After pushing through all kind of obstacle and lengthy brain-twisting puzzle, we finally reunited with Mighty. We showed him the tablet, and what he discovered was alarming. The stone revealed that Castrum Cramnas had once crafted a secret plan to attack Okema, a plan that had been set in motion long ago. Previously, we learned that the Titans went mad because of an event known as the Black Tide. But now, we discovered something more disturbing. The people of Castrum Cramnas had somehow learned to harness a portion of the Black Tide's power. According to the tablet, they had secretly planted traces of this power in various places around Okema. When the moment was right, the plan was to unleash it, spark mass panic, and then launch a full-scale invasion. Nicador's forces would strike precisely when the people of Okema were most vulnerable. We took a moment to process everything. Mighty was visibly concerned for the Okema's safety after learning about this plot, but Finan remained focused. He believed that going back now would be a mistake. We were close to reaching Nicador, and defeating him was the best way to stop the invasion from ever happening. He trusted that Aglia, Tribi, and Castorise could defend Okema if anything went wrong. After tense pause, Mighty agreed. He would press on. The fight against Nicador was personal and now more urgent than ever. After solving more puzzles, we finally found Nicador. The place felt very hot and full of strife aura, and we attacked Nicador right away. But there was one condition. It turned out that Nicador didn't care about all the battles that were happening. He only wanted the soul of the dead people to make his sword stronger. He would use the sword to attack the world-peering titan, Capel, and destroy Okema.
不思議と面白い。
We realized that we needed a new plan. Mighty told Finan and us to return to Okema and tell Aglia about Nikador's sword attack, so they could look for another solution. Mighty said that he would stay behind to fight Nikador and stop him from using his sword. He made it clear we had to leave. He was the only one who could handle the fight. Every member in the Cyrus Heirs has a special ability, and Mighty's ability is immortality. He is truly immortal. He cannot die. It turned out that Nikador has the same power, so if they fight, it could go on forever. But Mighty wasn't afraid. He said fighting Nikador was his duty as the crown prince of Castrum Cramnas, and as a hero from the prophecy. We had no choice but to trust him and return to Okema. We told Aglia about the black tide hidden in Okema and Nikador's word that about to strike. To avoid panic, Aglia chose to keep this information from public. Even though Mighty can die, he still can get tired. We can't let his effort go to waste. So we need to find a way to stop Nikador's immortality. But Castrum Cramnas has always been hidden in fog, and no one knows the secret to breaking Nikador's power. Aglia said the only way is to ask Oronex, the Time Titan, for help. By looking into the past, we might find the answer. Castorice will go with us to meet Oronex. Meanwhile, Aglia will stay behind to deal with the black tide in Okema. We then met up with Tribi, who would guide us to the Abyss of Fate. Castorice asked if Tribi, who was once their teacher and had become a demigod earlier, had any advice on how to get Oronex to listen to us. But Tribi said Oronex wasn't the kind of god who talked to humans very often. Still, Oronex isn't evil, so meeting him wouldn't be as dangerous as facing Nikador. Tribi took us to the Abyss of Fate but couldn't stay long. They had to go help Aglia. We found out that Oronex is one of the 3 Titans of Fate, along with Yenes, the Titan of Passage, and Talenton, the Titan of Law. That's why Oronex is in Janisopolis. Now it's up to us to convince Oronex to help. Time is running out and we can't let Mighty fight alone for too long. Here, we see Castorice's special ability. She can understand the Titan's language. That's why we need Castorice for this mission. Oronex already knew we wanted to ask for his help, but he was disgusted and hated humans. He created many challenges to stop us. Oronex keeps saying that we weren't worthy to see him. Finally, we were able to enter the room where Oronex was. Oronex is one of the few Titans who didn't go mad. We told him why we came, but like before, he refused to help us. Oronex asked why he should help humans who would eventually kill him and had killed his Titan brothers. Oronex's point made sense because the Cyrus Heirs' goal is to defeat and kill all the Titans. Because Oronex still refused and we didn't have much time, fighting seems like the only option. But before fight started, our very smart MC even managed to take a picture of Oronex during this tense moment. But after that clever move, Oronex acted differently and became kinder. He looked at us and said the word mother. Now, Oronex offered to show us past memories. Then we were taken somewhere and we saw the pink creature we saw at the beginning. Suddenly, we were on the Astral Express, but instead of Himeko, we met Kafka and the Stellaron Hunters. During our meeting with Oronex, he looked into our Trailblazer past, but instead of our real memories, we saw strange, confusing ones involving the Stellaron's Hunter. None of it actually happened, but in the middle of those odd memories, something important occurred. We received a blessing. Fully, the Aeon of Remembrance noticed us and we gained the power of remembrance.
Sloro bagus.
After that, Oronix said, "I finally found it, precious memory. At long last, I've caught their gaze." It seems that all those confusing visions were part of Oronix's plan to get Foolish attention, and it worked. Then, Oronix entrusted us with a strange pink creature named Mem. He said, "Accompany her. Mem will make the memories of this world complete once again, and she will find Mother." This shows that Oronix has placed his trust in us, the Trailblazer. He believes we can help the Titans recover the lost memories of their world, and maybe even find the mysterious Mother. Now, with Mem joining our journey, a new chapter begins. After everything, we finally woke up. The others told us we had been still for a while, but in reality, only less than a minute had passed before Mem appeared in front of them. We explained what happened and told them that Mem was a creature Oronix had entrusted to us. Mem has the power to collect memories scattered around Amphoreus, and through those memories, we can travel back in time. With this ability, our mission to uncover the secret behind Nicodor's immortality was finally moving forward. It was time to return and share this with Aglia. Before we left, Castoris quietly thanked Oronix and wished him sweet dreams. We reported the result of our mission to 3B. Since we had made some progress, Finan was eager to help Mighty, who was still fighting Nicodor. Danheng decided to go with him. Meanwhile, Castoris and we stayed behind to collect memories around Okema. We managed to gather some by talking to locals about past events related to Castrum Cramnos. While that was happening, the story shifted to Aglia. She and Tribi were meeting with a woman named Elder Canis, a member of the Council of Elders, the ruling body of Okema. Long ago, during Cyrus' War, Canis was killed many Cyrus heirs, and she still holds a grudge against them. Even now, she constantly looking for ways to bring them down. She believed that Cyrus heirs see themselves as superior to ordinary people. Canis warned Aglia not to act recklessly and reminded her that the Cyrus heirs only hold temporary power. After that, Aglia decided to handle the black tide that had entered Okema. She chose to do it alone and in secret to keep the people from panicking. It turned out that the black tide's power could also infect Nicodor's soldier. Aglia managed to remove all traces of it, but just as things seemed calm, Canis appeared again. She said she hoped that the Cyrus here's prophecy would fail completely, so that she and the Council of Elders could take back full control over Okema. Now, all Aglia and Tribi could do was wait for the outcome of our battle with Nicodor. The story shifts back to us, Castoris and Mem, who have just arrived at Castrum Cramnos. We can hear loud clashes of Mighty and the others fighting Nicodor. Now, it's our turn to help. Using the memories we gathered earlier, Mem activates its power and takes us back in time, back to when the civilization of Castrum Cramnos still exists. In this era, Nicodor hadn't completely lost his mind yet and was in a long sleep. The ruler of Castrum Cramnos at the time was King Iripan, and Mighty was his son, which is why Mighty is known as the Crown Prince. However, because Nicodor was already being affected by the Black Tide, Mighty and a group of people had fled to Okema for safety. That's also why some in Castrum Cramnos saw Mighty as a traitor. During this time, Castrum Cramnos was holding a festival, but it wasn't a joyful celebration. It was a brutal tournament where participants fought to the death for the crowd's entertainment and as an offering to Nicodor. The prize? A chance to meet the king. To learn the secret behind Nicodor's immortality, we decided to enter the festival. Since it required a team of 3, we teamed up with a quiet, mysterious fighter named Noise. We faced many challenges together with Noise, and during that time, he started to realize that we weren't from his era and that we didn't actually want to be part of the festival. But Noise didn't mind because our goals were the same, to stop the foolishness happening in Castrum Cramnos. In one of the challenge areas, we came across the bodies of many fallen festival participants. Here, Castoris used her power to show us what these people had seen and heard before they died. It helped us gather important information. You could say Castras has the ability to connect with the souls of those who haven't fully passed on, but using this power drained her, leaving her completely exhausted. From the different soul Castras had connected with, we learned something really important. King Eurypon once tried to remove Nicador's godlike power by sealing parts of his soul into several containers or statues. Nicador's soul is made up of 5 parts: courage, honor, reason, tenacity, and sacrifice. By sealing these 5 parts, Nicador's body became immortal, but there was a serious downside. Without those power of his soul, Nicador lost his awareness and humanity. He became an immortal god without any of the values that once made him who he was. This, Noise said, was the true foolishness. In trying to change Nicador, King Eurypon actually set the stage for the downfall as Castrum Cramnas, which is now happening in our present. Then Noise told us what we really needed to do: bring the 5 parts of Nicador's soul back together. Only then could his immortality be broken. After solving a long and difficult puzzles, we managed to recover 4 parts of Nicador's soul: courage, honor, tenacity, and sacrifice. That meant only one part was left: reason. Then we found out the truth. Noise is the soul of reason. When the Black Tide first appeared, Nicador chose to separate his reason, hoping that one day it would return and bring back the rest of his soul. Now that the time had come, Noise chose to rejoin the other parts of Nicador's soul to help him regain his awareness. Before merging, he asked us to give him an honorable death, one worthy of soldier. He also promised to keep fighting the Black Tide in his own way. With all 5 soul parts reunited, Nicador is no longer immortal. We return to the present, ready to help the others defeat him once and for all.
私を倒せ。私に戦士としてふさわしい最後は。
After an intense and fierce battle, Nicador was finally defeated, but even in his final moments, he tried to launch one last attack on Capul and Okema. Fortunately, Aglia and Tribi stepped in just in time to stop him. With his strength completely gone, Nicador faded away, leaving behind his core flame.
Wagashi. 今です。
もう剣を振るう必要はない。世界から紛争が消えた。
This marked another big step forward for the Cyros heirs in their mission to fulfill the prophecy. For now, Finan took Nicador's core flame back to Okema for safekeeping. Before leaving, Castorai spoke to what was left of Nicador's souls. She asked if he knew the location of Thanatos, the Death Titan. Castorai wanted to find him because she was born from Thanatos and had lost a part of herself since birth, but Nicador said he had never met Thanatos either. Even so, Castorai said goodbye and promised to keep fighting the Black Tide until the very end. We returned to Okema and met Aglia and Tribi. At first, Finan didn't feel worthy of receiving Nicador's core flame of strife. He believed it should go to Mighty, since he was the crown prince and a true citizen of Castrum Cramnas. But Aglia reminded him that Mighty had already refused the core flame. Mighty wanted his people to move forward and build a new life, different from the past. That's why it was Finon's turn to claim the core flame of strife and become a demigod, something he had dreamed for a long time. However, before that could happen, Finon had to go through a ritual, which would be held the next day. As the time drew near, he felt uneasy. It wasn't just because how important the ritual was, but he was also still struggling with some doubt deep in his heart. Before the day of the ritual, the story shifts to Herta. She was trying to contact Nos, the Aeon of Erudition, again. But doing this required a lot of power and came with some challenge that needed to be solved first. However, her attempt was cut short when Welt and Sunday interrupted her and brought her back to reality. Welt had come to ask Herta for help with Amphoreus. Since Amphoreus is connected to the path of erudition and Herta is an emanator of erudition, she was the best person to go to. He also asked for help because they had lost contact with us in Amphoreus and because of March's condition. Then the story returns to Amphoreus, where Finon is about to begin the ritual to become a demigod. As part of the ritual, he must first be tested by Nicodor to see if he truly worthy to receive his power. Even though Finon's strength and character are acknowledged, he still carries doubt in his heart. In the past, before he was chosen by the prophecy, Finon lost everything: his hometown, his family, and his friends. Back then, the only reason he kept going was for revenge. But after being chosen as the Cyrus heirs, he gained a new purpose: to fulfill the prophecy. But still, this created an internal conflict. Now he has to choose between holding on to his desire for revenge or fully embracing his duty as a Cyrus heirs. That inner struggle is the real test Finon must face to become a demigod. Then, we see what looks like a memory from his past. Finon is with a friend in his village, Aedis Alicia. They seem very close, joking and playing around together. The girl in this memory is named Cyrene. She talks with Finon about him becoming a hero and leaving the village. Before the scene fades, Cyrene says, "May this world never have need for a deliverer." Right after that, we see her being stabbed by something that looked like a black sword. Now, we just wait to see if Finon will succeed in passing Nicodor's test. Meanwhile, in another place, Himeko is shown bringing food to March. When she enters March's room, March is asleep, covered in ice. This ice is six-faced ice, the same ice that covered her when she was first found. Then, the quest continues in the next update. Okay, that's the summary of the Amphoreus 3.0 quest. So, what do you guys think about this quest? Do you like this kind of content? If you do, we will make a summary for the next patch quest. Let me know in the comment. See you in the next content. Ciao!